Hi everyone, Zach here, and welcome to Lesson 20 in this series on developing a survival game. In this lesson, we'll be creating our actual inventory menu, which should allow us to gain full functionality of the menus we created in the earlier videos. In the last video, I misspoke, saying that we will do the encumbrance system as part of our equipment system. We'll actually start it in this section and then finish it in our equipment section. That said, there will be one bonus video in this section as well that will be released with the next video. And that said, this series has been brought to you by my Patreon sponsors. And with that said, let's make a start. Hi everyone, welcome back to the editor. Now really quickly, I just want to point out the error that you're getting from the last video right now, but you're going to get an error if I close this out. That is expected, and that's because we actually don't have anything set up yet, so don't worry about that if you missed my warning in the start of the last video. In this video, what we're going to do is set up our menu so that when we click on an item, a menu will show up, and then we'll have all our options. What we're going to do is go to Core, Widget, Widget Elements, Inventory, right-click, New User Interface, so it's going to be WBP underscore Inventory Menu. Let's just pop that open, pin that into the correct window, and you know what I'm going to say, like usual, desired, delete the canvas panel, and we're going to do a size box. Getting a bit kind of obvious here how this structure works, I hope. This will be our inventory menu. I'm just going to copy that so I have to retype that over and over again. Size box. And it will have a width and height override of, actually, sorry, just a width override of 150. I am intentionally using our item icon width, by the way. We are going to have a border. Actually, I'm just going to use INV from inventory for this point out. INV outer border. Like usual, it will have an alpha of 0.5. And then we'll do any other border as our inner border. So INV for inventory, inner border. And this time I'm going to open up my tint because I saved my color last time and just hit OK. Right, now what we need is a vertical box. So I'm going to get my vertical box because we're going to have a menu that goes straight down. And this will be my INV options anchor. I am going into my INV options anchor and I am going to set my paddings to 0. And the reason for that is I'm going to use my buttons instead to give them different paddings to actually set this up the way I want it to look. Now I'm going to cheat and I'm going to create one button, and I am going to then in my button just find the background color real quick, and I'm going to set it to 0.26 by 0.26 by 0.26, so we get a different gray than we've used previously. I am going to then take the custom text, drop it in there. I'm not going to worry about the sizing of it right now. I'm going to stay on the button though, and I'm going to go up to my padding. On my padding, on the bottom, I want 2. I am going to select the button and text, and I am going to copy it once, twice, 3 times. So I have 4 buttons in total. I'm going to go to the first button. I'm going to set padding on the top to 5. I'm going to go to the last button, and I'm going to set padding on the bottom to 5. So we have some nice padding around here. We can see the inner border between it, and we can see the outer border. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my first button here, and I'm going to name this INV use button. I'm going to copy the name, and I am going to go to my text. This will be my INV use text. This will be our use item button. So I'm just going to type this in as use. That's all. I am going to leave the font size. Oh, I should change the font size on all these. I'm going to change the font size to 16. Should have done that before we did this part, so I apologize for not having done that. I'm going to go to the next button, and this will be my inv discard button. Again, I'm going to copy the text, go to the actual text here, paste the name in, add the word text. This will be discard, and I'm going to again set this to a font size of 16. Go back to the use button, by the way, real quick, and go to the text. We want to set the text to be is variable. It's the only one that will be is variable, by the way, because that will be our consume text. Use, equip, light on fire, whatever your consume text happens to be. All right, next, let's go to the next button on this list, and this will be our inv split button. Again, I'm going to copy the button name, go to our text here. I selected the text earlier, so this will be paste text. Go back up to this part and type in our actual name. The text will say split. It again will be of size 16 font. And after that, what we're going to do is go down to the final one. And this is probably the simplest button of them all. inv cancel button. And again, take that name, paste it in there, change the text to read cancel. This is just going to close the menu. Spell cancel correctly and stop clicking the wrong things, like I am doing if you're doing the same thing. Spell that correctly. This is simply going to close the menu when we get to that stage. All right, so we have our main buttons. Yes, I realize we don't have a swap button. We're not actually going to implement that at this stage. We're probably going to use that down the road. Again, make sure your use button is variable in terms of the text, because we will change the text value there. And let's pop over to our graph. All right, let's delete all of this stuff. Let's start with our cancel button. Let's put this into a components category. We're going to put these into categories as we clear them from our list. For our cancel button, all we're going to do is the on clicked. And we are going to set visibility hidden. For our on use, we are going to, well, trigger a use event. So the way we're going to do this, we're going to do use next, by the way, is again, this will be component on clicked. We need a way to get to the use item button. So what we're going to do is go to our widget, our core, our interfaces, our item, not item master, our inventory interface. We are going to create a new event. And yes, I did mean event this time, called run. Actually, we're going to do trigger use item. I'm going to use trigger for events. That's, I think, what my naming convention was meant to be. We'll have one input of our dear, dear old friend of index reference, which of course is type integer. It goes into our utility related. We're going to compile and save this. Let's go back to our core, our actor, our inventory, pop open our inventory, and let's get rid of this run split stack, run discard item. In our inventory, we have to trigger this event now. So what we're going to do is right click, and it's trigger use item. Let's just say trigger run item. That is the wrong type. That is a call to it. So it's trigger use item. We want the event version of this. So this is where we actually trigger our use of our item. In our utility, we have we set up our use item yet? Ooh, we have not set up our use item, it looks like. I'm just going to double check I haven't put this in the wrong spot. No, we have not. So what we're going to do real quick is we are going to create our function for our use item as well. So let's just do this real quick. Use item. It will have one input, clearly, based on our event of index ref, that dear old friend of ours. It's of integer, and it is, of course, going to be a utility. Actually, we're going to call this inventory items. Yeah, sorry, I forgot where I had, I think, for that. Take the index ref, promote to local variable. This will be index ref local. All right, what we're going to do is we are going to get the information on that item in our inventory. So get your inventory slots data. From this, we want to get a copy. We want to get a copy at this index we've just passed in. And we are going to first get the item class. So break this. And, hey, in terms of encapsulation, well, we're going to do something, not encapsulation, abstraction, we're going to do something we've done previously. So that challenge I gave you earlier about this, about that checking if a slot's free or not, add that to this challenge. Yeah. And we're going to put a reroute in there, actually. From here, we're going to do a branch. We want to make sure the item actually is valid to use it, because if it isn't, we got nothing to do. And if it is valid, what we're going to do is spawn actor from class. I told, whoa, that was the wrong note. Spawn actor from class. As I told you, we're going to temporarily spawn an item in when we use it. I mentioned this during the discard item part of the tutorial. This is so we can get the details of the item that we need. So we're going to spawn from the class that we're passing in. Put a few reroutes in just to liven things up and make it a little bit easier to read. There we go. Line those up. We are going to create a empty transformation. So we're going to promote that to a variable called empty transform. I keep saying transformation. It's transform. And I'm just going to put this in a category that I will call... Oh, sorry, you know what? Delete that. We don't need it saved here. We just need this as a local variable. So it's going to be empty transform local. That's all. Was discarded will be 0. Our item amount will actually default to 0. And we always will spawn this ignoring collisions. It's going to spawn under the map because 0, 0 should be under the map. And it will be destroyed instantly. We're going to take this value. And yes, technically now we have a hard reference. We always have had, though. On consumed. And which item were we doing the consuming at? Well, we're doing it at that index ref. So this is the item we're doing our consume at. And don't worry about the index ref. We'll take care of that later on. Plug a return node in. And we're done with this function. All right. Go back to the event graph. Take your use item, plug that into the trigger use item, and there we go. Go back to your inventory menu, and in your inventory menu, what we're going to do is create a reference variable to our inventory actor. Again, do not use BP inventory. I mean, if you want to cast and create a whole bunch of extra hard references we don't need, no skin off my teeth, but type in actor, if you're following along, look for the beige circle, select that, and this will go into a category called references. This one will be not exposed on spawn. We're just going to get it. We are going to run use or trigger use item. Plug that into there. And where are we using this item at? Well, at our index ref, which we need to create a variable for as well. So I'm just going to pull off of here, promote to variable, index ref, which I am going to put in my usual category of placement. Right. Again, we will have an event here that we will worry about later on. We're going to copy the set visibility. We're going to do this as hidden. Now, for our discard item, let's move this into the components. We will have an on-clicked event. And what we need to know is this is one item that we're trying to discard? Or is it multiple items? Or a stackable item? Kind of really more of the question there. We need to know both of those. So we're going to have a branch. And because a stackable item, you might only have one of them. So what we want to do is we want to check for two things. So we're going to have an and we want to check one, is it stackable? So let's get our item details, for which we will create a variable called item details. This will go into our references. This will be of type F, item details. We will get this information here. We will break this information. We want to know, is it harvestable? Oh, sorry. Is it stackable? Hide unconnected pins. We want to also then know, is our amount greater than 1? Sorry, greater than 2 or equal to 2. So, or greater than 1 actually works, I guess. We're going to create a new variable called amount. This will be of type integer. And I'm going to put amount into my item details. We will get this, we will check, is it greater than or equal to 2? Or you can check, is it greater than 1? Same idea, same logic there, really. Put a branch in, and we're going to abstract this by creating a function from it called check if multi for multiple items. This is a pure function with a return value of b is multi, again, for multiple items. So is this a set of multiple items? Because if it isn't, all we're going to do is discard a single item. And how do we do that? We take our inventory actor. We do run set as discarded. Mark that as true. And then again, off this inventory actor, we're going to just line that up. And we are going to run discard item. Where are we discarding? We are discarding at a particular index, which we're going to get in a moment. Just might line these up. That index ref goes in there. The amount we're discarding, well, we're discarding 1. It's a single item. So that value is 1. We're going to do a branch. And we're going to set visibility of this menu to hidden, if this works. Because we no longer have an item to look at. All right. Plug that into the false. Select all these nodes and collapse to a function called discard single item. Right. As for our discard multiple items, well, we'll have to take care of that in the next video because we need to set up the menus to communicate via our inventory UI. Remember, we're not going to have them directly talk to each other. We're going to use the inventory UI to pass messages, so we don't have that set of interdependency. So we're not quite done here. We're going to leave the true for the next video. Likewise, we are going to do the same for our split menu. As for the other things we have in here, let's take care of our item use text. Actually, I slightly misspoke. What we're going to do is we're going to get all of our details that we need. Notice one thing we haven't done is this update menu thing that we normally have. We're actually going to do that as a function. But first, we're going to do our set references as a function. And in our set references, all we're going to do is take our inventory actor. We're going to plug that into there. We're going to create a reference for our parent widget, which will be our inventory widget reference, which will be of type WBP inventory UI, object reference, references. And we're going to set that here as well. Pass that into there. In fact, we're going to create this function a number of times, to be fair. And we're going to do a return node here. All right. Next, what we're going to do is then our update menu. And this is that one we normally have in the event graph. We are going to get the index. So our dear old friend, index ref. It will be of type integer. We are going to set our index ref now there. So this is where we get that information. We are then going to take the inventory actor because we're getting that from our set references. We are going to run get item info at the index we've just gotten. So I'm going to plug that into there. And then what we're going to do from this is we are going to set our item details. And we are going to set our amount. Plug that into there, put a lovely little reroute in. From there, what we're going to do is set our use button text. So grab the use button, put it in the components, because, hey, we're now going to finish this button out. And we're going to do our set text. Plug that into there. And we are going to collapse this down to a function like we usually do. And what we are going to do is check. Actually, we have a few things we're going to do. First, we're going to put a branch here instead. With this branch, we're going to take our item details. We are going to break it. We are going to check, is this something that is consumable? Can we use it? Or is it just something that's going to be stored in our inventory for some reason? Set that there. We are then going to actually take our consumed text and plug that into there. Select this node, hide unconnected pins. So if it is something we can use, this is true, and we're good. We are also then going to take the button itself, the use button, and we are going to set visibility to visible. If this is false, if it is something we can't use, so it's not consumable, then we are going to set our use button to collapse. What does that do? Let's go over to our designer for a moment and select our use button. If I hit this, that is what the collapsed menu looks like. Hidden, we'd have the same size. This is why we didn't do a height override, by the way. All right, I'm going to take all these nodes in the branch right and do a collapse to function. This will be my set use button. And I am going to switch around my bool and my text conditions. So my text or my bool condition will be B is consumable. And then our text will be consumed text. Pop that open, line this stuff back up, and actually, yeah, I'm happy with how those pins are crossing, to be fair. I'm not so upset with them crossing. All right. And because you actually really should get into the practice of only having as few return nodes as possible, we're just going to do the return up here, put a reroute into it, and come from there and plug that in. I'm just going to line those up a bit better. Compile, save, back to our update menu. In our update menu, the next thing we need to do, actually I shouldn't have hidden unconnected pins. I'm going to just expand the default category out, and I want the is stackable as well. That's the last one I actually want. And then I'm going to do the same for our split button, but I'm going to show you how to use a select node with this. Let's grab our split button. I guess we will be putting it in the components, even though we're not done with it. We are going to do a set visibility and just plug that directly into there. For our set visibility, what we're going to do is pull off of here and do a select node. The wildcard will be our Boolean. So we're now using the Boolean index there. And if it is true that it is stackable, then we want it visible. If it is false, then we want it collapsed, because we don't want to be able to split something that isn't stackable. I'm going to take these nodes. I'm going to, actually, I lied. We're going to do something else first. We're going to break that Boolean condition. We're going to put an and in. Not only does it need to be stackable, it also needs to have multiple items in said stack. So we're going to take our amount and do the same check we did earlier. You can either do greater than 1 or greater than and equal to, or equal to, not and, 2. Plug that into there. Now I am going to take all of these nodes, the reroute, the set select node, the set visibility, inventory split button, and collapse to function. And this will be set split button. And our input will be is viable. I didn't actually mean to take that reroute, did I? Whatever. I can fix that in the thing. Our input will be B is splittable. Probably a horrible name. I guess the reroute's fine in there too. It's a pretty little reroute. We love our reroutes. Put a return node in. Compile, save. Gotta stop saving. I told you I was going to do that, even though I set up the always save unsuccessful compile. We have done our update menu. We've set our use button. We've set our split button. We have our check if multiple items. We have our discard multiple items. All we have left to do is spawn our discard menu and spawn our split menus, and we'll be done with this widget. Well, that said then, we can close everything out, and we are now ready to finish our inventory system. We'll have, I believe it's just one last video. We might actually have we're going to probably have a bonus video as well, depending on how long it takes me to get through setting up the menus. And that's just because there are some things that I want to take care of. Like, hey, I'm currently overlapping 2. I pick up 1. Why isn't that menu coming back up? Also, I can't see. What the heck are we talking about? I don't see a herb. I don't see the little capsule. I want to fix that as well, so we have to be facing the item to pick it up. So I might do a bonus video for that if I don't have enough time to fit it into the next video. If not, if I do have time, then hey, we'll have both in one video. If not, you get a bonus video next week. That said, we're nearly done with our inventory system. If you've enjoyed setting up your inventory system, make sure to hit the like button down below. If you want to guarantee that you'll be here when that video is out and you get that notification really quick, then make sure to hit that the subscribe and notify bell. This series has been brought to you by Patreon sponsors like Quadmenson, Haynes, and Rian. If you want a copy of this project, consider becoming a Patreon sponsor. Patreon sponsors at upper tiers get instant access to any ongoing YouTube project. At other tiers, they get access once the project is completed. Or hey, if you just want to support the channel, I'm not going to complain. In addition, feel free to join our Discord community. Links in the description below under our asset packs. That said, I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial. I'm beating you, Hunger Timer, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I beat you, Hunger Timer.